Welcome back, guys, to Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations, where last episode continued to argue with Shih-na. Everyone started to figure out who she actually was, with Gumshoe bringing evidence at the right time from the room we confirmed she was in. We burnt the section of her coat covered in ink, solidifying her as the figure Kay saw running away. After finally outing her as Callisto Yew, everything started to happen as with Kay face to face with her father's killer once again. She ended up being taken hostage. However, Detective Bad appeared to make the save as we realized that the Yatagrasu was really 3 people working together, with Agent Lang shielding Callisto Yew from the bullet shot by Bad, taking a hit to his leg while restraining his subordinate. Now having searched Callisto's body, Gumshoe shows us what he has found. I found something. Indeed he did. What is it, sir? It looks like the blade of a knife, but it doesn't have a handle. This is a great find, Detective. Ah, it is, sir. Let's try pairing up this blade with this handle. You mean this handle? Take that! I believe this blade actually belongs with the handle that was on the murder weapon. Oh, they fit together perfectly! This blade must have been taken from the crime scene when the knife handles were switched. I'm gonna go return this Babalese knife now! Alright, I trust that you'll make sure that it is returned to Ambassador Plano. Babali's knife handle has been given to Detective Gumshoe. I believe this makes it perfectly clear who did it, Callisto Yew. But the only time the handles could have been switched is just after Mr. Koshin's murder. Which means that you must be Mr. Koshin's killer. You killed Mr. Koshin with the Alabastian knife. Switched the handles and then took the original blade of the Babalese knife with you. Later, you allowed yourself to be spotted by Kay near the open-air stage. You used the fireplace to lose her, and then you went back to accuse her of the murder. Does that about sum it up? You craft an engaging tale, Edgeworth, but there are 2 problems with it. Problems? In what respect? Why do you think my real reason was, or what do you think my real reason was, in allowing her to chase after me? It was also I could capture Kay Faraday. What? When I saw you using that device at Gatewater Land, I knew right away that you were Ben Faraday's daughter. I became curious, so I researched a little into your background. That's how I found out that you were on the trail of the Yatagarasu. So that's why you tried to pin Mr. Koshin's murder on me. Yes, I knew you would show up at this embassy tonight. So I thought to use you, but pinning the murder on you wasn't my only goal. You had another. Yes, once I had you under arrest, I had planned to search you and take back the device that rightfully belongs to me, the true Yatagarasu. You were going to take little thief away from me. 7 years ago, it was thanks to that device that Faraday was able to infiltrate this place. But he stole more than he should have. I had a tough time recovering that precious key. And the person who stole the Yatagrasu's key was Mr. Faraday. You. That incident 7 years ago. What was the catalyst behind it? In the eyes of the smuggling ring, the Yatagrasu was becoming a bit of a problem. It wasn't an especially pleasant assignment. And why? Why did you become a member of the Yatagrasu? Why? There is no why. I was destined to betray everyone from the very beginning. From the beginning? What is that supposed to mean? The person I take orders from hasn't changed. Even now, to this day. Does this mean that the leader of the smuggling ring wasn't Mr. Koshin? Then the real ringleader is still out there pulling the strings. You don't ask him what you need to know, because if so, we should probably get going. But you're going to tell me everything you did tonight. Do you understand, Shih-na? I guess I should tell you then that I was the one who set the Babalese embassy on fire. And why did you do that? I suppose it was to destroy all evidence of the counterfeit bills. That was what the smuggling was trying to do. But then why start 2 fires? Sorry, but I can't tell you anything about the ring. It's your job to complete your investigation after all. I've had my fun. Now it's your turn to enjoy the ride. Wait, I mean, Miss Shih-na. Yes? When I fell to the floor earlier, these fell at my feet. What about them? they're such pretty hair sticks that I thought, well, that I should return them to you. You can have them. They're of no use to me anymore. If you don't want them, you can always just throw them away. No, I want to keep them. Suit yourself. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot Edgeworth. About the second problem I had with your story. I didn't kill anyone tonight. What? I'm not saying that as a sore loser. Think of it as a hint, if you will.
Mr. Prosecutor!
Yes, Agent Lang?
Mark my words, I'm not done here, and I'll be back. And it's got nothing to do with duty or anything, because this has become my personal case. I may have been shot, but I'll show you just how dangerous a wounded wolf can be.
His anger appears to have negated the sensation of pain in his injured leg. Also, misdirection much? It's finally over, Kay. I feel like I've peered into her heart a little, you know? And it's so cold, and dark, and incredibly lonely. The person who was giving her all these commands, the one who thought my father was a problem to be removed, that person is the real ringleader behind the smuggling ring. Mr. Edgeworth, I have a favour to ask. Can you, hold on to these hair sticks for me? They're really pretty, just like the ones they were selling for the Jam and Ninja show. But until this case is over, I don't think I can look at them without being overcome.
I understand. I'll take good care of them for you.
There's a bit of soil stuck on the ends of these sticks.
Okay, the hair sticks have been noted down in my organizer. Oh, I guess that's already, yeah?
So it's midnight, the dawn of another day.
Hey, Pops, thanks a bunch. You've really done a lot for everyone all these years.
Detective Bad, don't tell me today is the day.
Yeah, it is. With this, I could retire in peace. It was down to the wire, and we almost didn't make it. But we did it. We solved everything.
Well, that's just it. We haven't solved everything yet. The ringleader of the smuggling ring, you, the Yatagarasu, were chasing after.
The legend that Yatagarasu is now over. Mr. Edgeworth, that bit of logic earlier, it was brilliant. I feel like I can leave it all in your hands. I'm counting on you.
Is it really true, Uncle Bad? Were you also a part of the Yatagarasu?
As I said to you earlier, okay? I'm truly sorry. I wanted nothing but a peaceful life for you.
Uncle Bad!
Hey, don't take it so seriously. It's all just one big joke, right?
Unfortunately, it isn't.
Oh, come on, sir. She's just yanking on my chain, isn't she, Mr. Edgeworth?
Detective Bad. Wait. No, you're no longer a detective. Mr. Bad, I'd like to ask you about the Yatagarasu.
Not you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth. Here, I should give these back to you.
These are the pages from my KG8 case files that the Yatagarasu stole from my office.
Wait. What?
Mr. Edgeworth, I must apologize for last night. So the Yatagarasu who stole into my room was you, was it?
Wait, and that means... What? Tell me it's not true. That's too insane for me to believe, sir.
It's true.
Even if it's not something you want to hear. The KG8 incident was a very emotionally trying case. We stood in that courtroom. Faraday is the prosecutor, and I is the lead detective. Faraday had evidence in his possession that would prove the defendant guilty. However, because it was stolen, the defendant was found innocent. You was the elder sister of the victim in the case. When the defendant was pronounced not guilty, she let out a great wail. That's when we realized that there was a limit to what the law could do. The only way to bring someone like that to justice was to do so outside of the courts. That's what we thought at the time. That's how we formed the Yatagarasu, and vowed to bring to light any dirty dealings companies had with the ring. including companies that dealt with the Amano Group.
Mr. Amano's conglomerate?
We called ourselves the Adagrasu and flexed our collective muscle. We exposed all sorts of shady dealings as a warning to the business world as a whole. By doing that, we were able to stop the higher-ups from covering things up. And then, it was finally time. We finally arrived at the moment when we'd find out the ringleader's true identity. It was then that you literally stabbed us in the heart. And Faraday, he died for it.
Why? Wasn't she the sister of the victim in the KJ incident?
After Faraday's death, I looked into her past. And that's when I found out that she was a phony. The victim of the KJ incident, Ms Yew. She never had a sister.
What? And that means that no one really did their research, did they?
Shih-na wasn't the only fake name she used. Callisto Yew was also another pseudonym. From the very beginning, that woman was a spy sent by the smuggling ring.
She said it herself. I was destined to betray everyone from the very beginning.
Anyway, let's return to the real topic at hand. Mr. Edgeworth, this trump card that we stuck onto the page of the case file, please use it wisely.
Trump card?
That photo that we stuck on there. Try peeling it off. Behind it, slams a piece of evidence that Faraday hid away all those years ago.
It's the mark of the Adagrasu. But why?
This is a directives card from the big boss. Take a look at the back. This was something Cochin had on him at the time of the KJ incident, 10 years ago. That blood is from the victim of the incident, Ms Yew.
Why is the card adorned with the mark of the Adagrasu?
The reason why we called ourselves the Adagrasu was because of the three-legged raven mark that the smuggling ring's boss used. Apparently, orders from the boss would come on these cards without fail. The person who received the order was supposed to burn it immediately after reading it. And apparently it burns a bright green flame when set ablaze.
Do you mean the cards were written in Babbly's ink?
The fact that the card that Cochin was sent made it into Faraday's hands at all is nothing short of a miracle. We decided that whenever we stole anything, we would send a card along with it to the police.
So that's what those white cards are.
The great thief that used the mark that only those within the ring would know. It was our message to the ringleader that we were only a few steps behind.
We now have our trump card, I guess. Or play it. Maybe it's our trump time. I don't know.
And one more thing, Detective Gumshoe. I'm entrusting this to you. What is this, sir? This is what I was talking about earlier. During the KJ incident trial, Faraday had this in his possession. This important, definitive piece of evidence.
But I thought it was stolen. How do you have it?
The person who stole it from us 10 years ago was a man by the name of Ernest Amano. And he had it locked and hidden away for all this time. But we forced him to tell us where it was finally, after the other day's kidnapping case.
Videotape has been jotted down.
This video!
Don't get any closer, I'm warning you! This is the same video as the one Mr. Portsman was trying to conceal from me.
Yeah, it would seem that even he was caught up in the ring's web. Amano was preparing to take on the boss someday, and the video was his insurance. That's where that prosecutor comes in. He was to retrieve the video. On top of that, he was apparently instructed to sneak into your office and steal the trump card. You saw it for yourself, right? The card that told him to preserve the evidence.
Then that card was not the calling card the Adagrasu. Rather a directives card from the ringleader to Mr. Portsman.
The two pieces together make for a strong weapon for whoever holds them.
The evidence Mr. Horseman fought to withhold from me, and the one that you stole from my office last night. Both pieces are illegal, and for me to use either one is...
Whether you use them or not is up to you. But they will be of help to you when you take on someone who is above the law.
Is the boss one of those who cannot be brought to court that Mr. Faraday spoke of? Detective Bad, there is no limit to the law, for it is the people who determine the limits to them.
You still insist that, even now. You really are something else. I leave the rest in your hands. Now then, Detective Gumshoe, the handcuffs. It's time to lock up the last remaining member of the Atagarasu. Pops! Don't ever lose your detective spirit. Pops, why is this happening? This isn't justice! Like I always told you, do not get emotionally involved. Now let's go. Yes, sir!
Is this really the end of a legend? To be continued. Is this really the end of a legend? How abrupt.
We say no!
Surely it isn't. The case continues. Now, in a new day, March 15th, very late at night. So now we know who the Atagarasu really was. And yet there remains much of this case that needs to be resolved. Like how the weapons crossed country lines, for example. The two countries have incredibly strict security systems and entry procedures. Short of a miracle, it's impossible for someone to have smuggled them in. Smuggling them in? We will need to open a new line of investigation on just this aspect alone. But before we do, I would like to go through my evidence once more. Okay, we've got rid of some of the unnecessary evidence. Remaining evidence has been rearranged.
Hey, it's a VCR here, sir. Now we can see what's on the tape Detective Bag gave us.
This piece of evidence from the KJ incident, hidden from sight for 10 long years. I just know that this is related to the current case somehow. Detective Gumshoe, if you could please play the tape for us.
Sure thing, sir.
This man he coaching. And you can see the directives card. And he's holding a knife in his hand. This looks like footage from a security camera at the entrance of an apartment building. An apartment building? How do you figure that? Unlike you, I actually read the summary file on the KJ incident, or read. And the crime scene was the victim's own apartment. So this footage was shot at the entrance to the victim's own apartment building. At the trial, Mr. Faraday claimed that this piece of footage existed. However, no one could find it. Yes, somehow someone was able to steal it and hide it from Mr. Ernest Amano. I can see how this would have been a definitive piece and why someone would want to hide it.
Well, it's a piece of evidence from a 10-year-old case. There's no way it's related to this case we're working on now, sir.
Actually, I believe it has everything to do with the case we're working on now. The ringleader even went so far as to use Mr. Portsman to retrieve it. Which means that in this video lies a very inconvenient bit of footage to the ringleader.
Where? Where?
Wait. What was that?
Huh?
That bit you played just now. Please show it to me again. This car. This is something we cannot overlook.
What is that, sir?
Look here, Detective Gumshoe. Well, okay, it's something we cannot overlook because, let's put it this way, where are we currently and all this other stuff going on? A distinguishing, identifying mark. We can't see a registration plate, but we know it's an official car. Take that! This is the national flag of the Principality of Codopia. And because it has the national flag on it, we know this has to be an official government car. But the question we should be asking ourselves is, what was a government car doing there?
Miss Von Karma and Mr. Edgeworth, so you were here all this time.
Ambassador Alba.
Thank you very much for continuing the investigation, even at this time of night. If only I was even a tiny bit more careful. This tragedy would never have happened. I'm truly sorry.
This wasn't your fault, sir. There's nothing to do with how careful you were.
You idiot, Crisis! You couldn't chase after a simple thief! Now then, let's get down to the real reason why I came looking for the two of you. I would like you to put the investigation on hold for a while. Can you do that?
Excuse me?
I heard you've apprehended the thief that turned this embassy upside down. And we are in the middle of an event celebrating our country's reconciliation. And we can't exactly have the police and detectives walking around here forever. You're scaring the visitors away, so I hope that you can understand how I feel. We must finish our investigation and resolve the remaining issues. Why don't we leave the rest of the Alabastion and Babalese police?
Ambassador, you're so close. Just a little more and...
Miss Von Karma, I'm afraid I've made up my mind. And without my permission, you can't proceed with your investigation anyway, right?
That's true. However, as he said at the very beginning, this area can be considered to be Alabastion soil. In which case, we are nothing but foreigners in their land. Is this really where our investigation ends?
Shifu, we found Mr. Edgeworth, sir. Shifu, this way. Yo.
Agent Lang, you're back on the scene rather quickly.
If I laid back and took a break, I'd lose a scent of my prey, Mr. Prosecutor. Agent Lang, why have you returned? Because I have to solve this case, no matter what. Well, I'm sorry to inform you, and don't take this the wrong way, I don't suspect you personally. However, a member of Interpol was just found to be a thief, and so... under these circumstances, I wish to put your investigation on hold. After all, I believe our own police can handle things from here. They are quite capable.
At this rate, our investigation really will come to a close.
Ambassador Alba, I get it now, I really do. Oh, I'm very glad you understand how I feel. No, not that. What I was talking about is... I know who the killer is behind tonight's murder. You...
No.
The
Killer?
Do you really mean that, Agent Lang? Wolves don't lie. Then who is it? Well, let me first say that I'm not talking about Mr. Cochin's murder. That was all Shih-na. Langzi says, the truth lies not at the exit, but rather shines outside the maze itself. The truth is unexpectedly simple. So let me ask you this. Who do you think was Damas 2's killer? I'll tell you who. It was you, Francisco von Karma. What?
I was the killer? Hey, wait, but that's impossible.
Yeah. Although that whip is actually quite... Yow!
Hold your tongue and that ludicrous remark you were about to make.
Agent Lang, are you seriously accusing her of murder? Yeah, I am.
He doesn't appear to be joking.
Hey sis, I remember that just before Ambassador Alba went to give his speech, he called you into his office, right?
Yes, he did. But what does that have to do with anything?
I'm getting to that. Furthermore, in order to solve both cases, you moved around rather freely between Alabast and Babal, did you not?
Objection!
And where's your evidence that I am the killer?
I was just getting to that. Trust me, I'll show them to you in due time. Ambassador Alba, in order for me to bring this case to a close, I'll need to inspect your office one more time. Will you grant me permission? With things as they are, I suppose I don't have much of a choice, do I? Good. Let's move out. Oh, and don't even think about running away, sis. My pack will be keeping a close eye on you. You can bet your bum dollar on that.
As if I would have any reason to flee. But just so we're clear, your logic had better be sound. Because I'll accept nothing short of a perfect explanation. She seems rather upset. Not that I blame her.
I expected that you'd accept no less. Well, we'll see how long you can keep that nose of yours stuck up in the air like that.
Hold
it! Agent Lang.
As someone related to tonight's case, I requested you allow me to take part, so that I may clean up my superior's mess.
I guess I should. The more the merrier, especially when it's the peanut gallery.
Oh, in that case, I want to join in too. I still haven't seen what it looks like in Alabasta yet.
You let Kay in, then you gotta let me in too, pal. Can't sit around and do nothing when Miss Von Karma's in trouble.
Hey, Gummy, let's have a competition to see who can save her first, okay?
Okay, I'll take you up on that. Oh yeah, I'm fired up and ready to go.
As a detective, I don't believe this is something you're supposed to be excited over.
Sounds like this is gonna get real interesting. Ambassador Alba, I'll be bringing these kids along for the ride. Very well. But I'd like you to keep in mind this will be your last chance. I'll have this whole mess cleaned up before you know it. Now let's go.
Did we just leave the tape? Seems like we did.
Okay, now let's first go over the facts one more time. Manny Coachen's body was found over in the Secretariat's office of Babal. The weapon that took his life was one of Alabast's ornamental knives. And then the body of Damas II, Mr. Shih-na, was found here in the Alabastian Ambassador's office. Through our investigation, we found that the murder weapon was this Prima Duck statue. And this is actually Babal's statue. This case, no matter how I look at it. Sis, if it wasn't you, then there's no one else who could have pulled this off.
Agent Lang, do you understand the full implications of what you were saying?
Of course I do, sis. And I'm serious. You were on the trail of the smuggling ring. And you wanted any evidence you could find. And so, while people were distracted by the Yadagrass's appearance, you snuck in here. That's when you two ran into each other. You and the other thief took advantage of the confusion from the fire.
Even if all that were true, how do you explain the movement of the weapons?
Yeah, don't worry. I plan to show that you're the culprit behind that too. You have permission to investigate both embassies at will. With that kind of free reign, you could have easily taken the weapons across country lines. Hey now! Look, sis, I thought I already told you, I'm not messing around here. This case isn't directly tied to the smuggling ring. But Shih-na certainly is tied to the smuggling ring. He was right in saying that she's a member of the smuggling ring. However, the connection between this case and the ring, could it not be deeper than what any of us can imagine?
Let's get this ridiculous circus over with already. Francisca, you need to calm down. Because you only know the facts of the Alabastian side of the case. I don't believe you can see the case as a whole and therefore solve it. What? But don't worry, I am taking this seriously as well. And I will prove your innocence. That's the only way to be, Mr. Prosecutor. But can you come up with anything else that could top my hypothesis? Of course, your explanation has to solve the mystery of the moving weapons as well. Of course. And I will. Let us now delve into the truth behind the murder of Damask II. You do understand, don't you, Miles Edgeworth? This isn't just a confrontation against Agent Lang. If you can't figure out how the murder of Damask II is related to the smuggling ring, then it will mean the end of our investigation. As long as I have no good counter-argument to his hypothesis, then the best I can do is walk the thin tightrope and see what I can do. Go on, Mr. Prosecutor. Let's get started. Yes, let's. And so it's testimony time. The border crossing weapons. However, this seems like a good a time as any to finish up yet another episode. So, will the accusation now going to Franziska von Karma? Is this not some other kind of play? Some other kind of ploy to bring us into the area? Let's find out next time on Miles Edgeworth, Ace Attorney Investigations, as we get to arguing with Agent Lang once again. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.